Hello, everyone, and welcome to the December 20th, 2022 Product Analytics Sync. Probably the last one for the year, if I'm not mistaken, because I think everyone will most likely be off next week for obvious reasons. So, yeah, we can go ahead and get started with the board review. I will go ahead and share my screen and hope that the internet will, play nice. So we'll see. For the board review, we might have a couple of issues missing, but hopefully we can kind of touch on them as we go along. We have the 15.7 milestone planning issue. The 15.8 one's not there yet. So yeah, I'll link that in the agenda. We can take a look at that. We have a couple of different spike issues. Max, I believe you have started on one of them.
Yeah.
File not. Is there anything you'd like to call out?
Yeah. So yeah, funnel analysis has been my life for the past 48 hours. Really interesting. The funnels themselves aren't too complicated. They seem to mostly work. Calculating the percentage of completed funnels is trickier than the number of completed funnels in absolute terms. But the real interesting bit comes when obviously users are going to define their own funnels, whereas we can define, total number of sessions or sessions per user. Funnels have to be customized. They have to, people have to be able to say, well, we want to go to page A, then page B, then page C, or, do a certain number of things. We have to make that fairly customizable. So I've mentioned it later on in the agenda, but Cube has support for dynamic schemas loaded via external APIs. So I think there should be a nice thing we can do there by defining funnels and persisting them to GitLab database and then exposing them to Cube, which is exciting and interesting and opens up lots of interesting possibilities.
That's cool. It'd be cool to dive into that a little bit deeper in the agenda. We have this blocked issue to go back to the tracking view, which I believe is part of what Axel's been working on. So I think we can skip that for now. We have adding support for pre-aggregations around users anonymous ID, which is assigned to myself, but I think we've actually already gotten this sorted out, Max, or am I mistaken here?
Yeah, I think our understanding of how to do pre-aggregations around user IDs is basically done and merged, so I think you can close that.
Yeah, it's already in, so I'll go ahead and make a note to close that afterwards.
I can talk about
here
these
that aren't
first
showing up.
issues.
Hold on, sorry, there we go. They're ready for development. We do not have anything. I think there's one from Axel about the single stat to actually pick the right value, but we can, unless Jan, you can speak to that, or otherwise we can go to InDev.
Yeah, I can only speak about InDev.
Okay.
Axel and I met up, I think yesterday for the front end kickoff. So the tracking codes view he has in progress. I think if he was planning on getting that in review today, but that's probably not going to happen with him being out of office. As for the next one, waiting for the stack setup view, I've assigned myself to this issue. Rob asked for either myself or Axel to take this on. Since I'm not the DRI currently on any issue, I'm working on this today. So hopefully that will be in review by the end of the day. And yeah, that's it.
Great, cool. I do need to create some additional issues for the dashboard here. Tim, I believe you had said yesterday that you have merge requests for these dashboards. Is that correct?
Yes, for the dashboards, there is a merge request and you got assigned as a reviewer.
Okay. Yeah, I think we'll want to break those up to see if there's anything to do from either the front end or back end to get it to the design spec. I'm not sure if it's been rearranged yet or.
It's for the updated all internal product analytics dashboard. So the dashboards is
it's just updating the dashboard configuration files, right?
Exactly. And the specs against it there. So the base specs, because we deleted also the overview. So this is just updating all the JSON files and a lot of them. And yeah, and I think 2 small spec changes. That's it.
Cool.
Free.
I'm thinking we can probably see if it we can merge those in, and then for these 2 specific issues, assuming I'll look at them later today, but for these issues specifically, evaluating what's currently there and getting that to match the mock-up, if you will. Then any other tweaks to follow up with that. But I have to take a look to see if that's changed since our session on Friday. But I think I just want to leave that open to make sure that someone can evaluate it against what we've defined.
So I believe the only thing that was missing versus the issues was the time on page. And I would create a follow-up issue out of this, to be honest, because if we would switch to snowplow or if we take another look, we can add this at a later point. So that we can close the first two and say the dashboards are done and revalidate it with the issues.
Okay. Have they also been, because I know that when the way we arranged it in the working session wasn't matching the mockups. So so I would assume we would want to rearrange that, right? So that's why I would want to leave the issues open.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Also happy to do that.
Okay. But yeah, I just wanted to call that out. Other than that, we have some additional front end items rooted around the JS SDK to see if someone can maybe get around that. I have the next two issues in dev. I need to rewrite part of the instructions for feature flags for the change request issue. We found out with the we need an additional feature flag to separate the admin settings from everything. So I will be updating the feature flags for staging to verify everything's still okay there, and then give John Jarvis the go ahead to follow the rest of the instructions for production so that we can get the internal handbook project completely integrated. Beyond that, I have not made any progress on the GitLab instance. One issue that I need to add to the board is the automation of backing up both the ClickHouse data as well as the Redis database. And doing that in a way that's not running on my local machine, but happening on GCP itself. So I'll be creating an issue to kind of detail that. I might have mentioned last week that I was working on the automation there, which is functionally working, but needs to be operationalized a little bit better. And then for the last issue for in-dev, we have further encrypting connection details with the analytics stack integration. Max, anything you want to call it here?
Yeah, this is taking annoyingly long time. Apparently, duplicating one application setting to another application setting is more difficult than we had anticipated. I'm still working on it. I'm concerned it might actually slip this milestone, but it's not a showstopper for anything, so it's not the end of the world. But yeah, it's very strange. It's because we store encrypted variables as binaries and we store non-encrypted variables as strings. So it's not a case of writing an SQL update statement. And if you try and do an active record, Rails caching gets in the way and stops you from doing it. So this has been a weirdly difficult problem to unpick.
Got it. All right, then we have a couple more issues in verification. Jan, I think one of these are yours.
Yeah, I actually just verified that and closed it. So when we get to close issues, I'll talk more about it.
Sounds good. And I'm just going to double check the bookmark for closed issues. Looks like we don't have one. All right. Well, we'll have to, I think we stopped with the new tracker on internal handbook, so we can take a look at the initial empty state for when product analytics is set up. But these two are from Rob. So I think we've just got 3 issues from Max and Jan. Then we can start. I think pre-aggregation, we already closed this, so that's fine. Implement system analytics, more of the same, but I don't know, Max, if there's anything else you'd like to call out.
No, not really. It was, the spike was to figure it out and figure out how we're going to use it. And we added some useful insights to the schema. So I decided that was the moment to close it.
Got it. Cool. Then Jan, it's a list of dashboards for you.
Yeah, I mean, the list of dashboards is just updating the designs or the look and feel of the list to match our latest designs. And then for Rob's initial empty state, that's currently what I'm using to, so it's when you don't have any product analytics set up on your project, you view that page, the MR that I'm working on, that Rob did most of it already, is to add a button to that you click, and that starts the initialization process. And then we're going to build the next steps after that.
Great. Cool. Then I think that covers everything on the build board, unless anyone has anything else they'd like to call out. Alrighty then. Then Max, you have the next point.
Yeah, so I just wanted to raise this. So in my investigations about how we're going to implement funnels, I discovered that Cube has a feature called dynamic schema creation, which I've linked to, but I'll just share my screen now. And this essentially allows you to call an API which returns a schema that you can then use, as opposed to defining it. So for funnels, this is perfect because it means that we can allow GitLab users to define funnels, and then we can funnel them through to Cube to be used, which is excellent. But also this opens up a load more interesting possibilities in terms of defining measurements and measures and dimensions that can be used by particular projects. We can enable and disable them via feature flags, or we can enable them and disable them via licenses as well. So if we want to add certain bits of the schema that only appear for Ultimate or Premium, then we'd also have control over that. It also answers the question about how we're going to promote schema changes from DevKit to GitLab production. We may not need to, we could just put it through our usual code review process. So yeah, I can't believe I hadn't noticed this before, but it definitely opens up a lot of interesting possibilities. My first stop will be to try and get it working with funnels, just to prove that it can be done. And then in the new year, perhaps, if it is something we want to go down, then we can look to migrate the existing measurements we've got into this.
This is really cool. This is really nice. So would this also allow us to basically provide limitations on what can be accessed?
I would think so. From my understanding, you essentially create an API that returns most of a Cube schema, and we've got access to everything we would usually have access to in GitLab to change or modify that JSON before we send it to Cube. There's probably things I haven't discovered yet and things I haven't understood, but the basic idea seems pretty solid, and it allows us to test it as well, which we can't really do that much in DevKit.
Yeah. Well. No, that would be nice, because so that you know the context why I'm asking. I'm thinking of bringing the idea of Cube also to optimize in the value stream analytics, because if we have then the main target they are working now on is having a ClickHouse replica of the GitLab database, which would mean that would allow us to do also very fast counts against that part. They have now very static analytics components. And the idea would be to give them something like the widget designer along the way, where you could say, okay, give me all the issues from this project that have been opened in the last 15 days that have okay, cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's so this is the nerd.
Yeah, nice.
Did I freeze or Max freeze?
Oh, did I freeze?
Okay, you're back.
I'm assuming Dennis froze. So yeah, that, as far as I can tell, it gives you a tremendous amount of flexibility. But like I say, I only discovered this a few hours ago, so I'm going to keep prodding it with funnels, and I'll report back once I've got something useful.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes, can I?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. All right, then I have the next point.
Sorry, that was me. I hit the wrong button.
Okay. Cool. Then I just wanted to say thanks to the team and everyone involved with product analytics for the progress we've made so far. It's been half a year, but we are very, very close to our internal preview, and we'll be working on making steps towards our customer previews. So I think given the resources we have and what we've been able to do with very vague, very vague issues in ethics to start, and maybe hopefully less vague requirements now, I think we've made some really good progress, and I'm excited to see what we'll do next year, especially with the investment focus for the next fiscal year. So just want to say thank you to those that are here right now and also watching the recording. And yeah, excited to see what 2023 holds for us. All right, Tim, you've got some topics.
Exactly what Dennis said. So yeah, thanks also from my side. No, I think we have made great progress and have shown that we can make really good steps in the right direction. I think the session on Monday was also great. Seeing product intelligence, also joining the whole effort and bringing in there a lot of tracking knowledge. And yeah, so that's great to see. Good. Final topics. Yes, there we are. Jan, first of all, thanks a lot for keeping up with me on my huge MR. I know it's way too big and it's taking way too long. So thanks a lot for your thorough reviews. I hope that we are through very soon and get this to the ground. And from there on, it will be much more smaller, luckily. So then I pushed for getting the boring solution thumbs up beforehand. Now we just need it on the issue so that we get a menu item, because it could be that we have everything developed and everything ready to be looked at, but we don't have a menu item because we are the whole discussion on where product analytics should go is completely stalled. So at least I have some thumbs up from product to simply get us a dashboard menu point at the moment. Under analytics for the first iteration, it will be anyhow a feature flag, I said again. So I hope we can get this pushed through. So if we would come up with a release even this week, I will try to get us the issue go ahead today, and then we can create also an MR for this so that we have at least a menu point for our feature, which is, yeah.
What would be the difference if we're under a feature flag of just introducing our menu section, if we're already behind a flag? Because
that's the thing. That's also what we ask, and especially what Sam asks. They wouldn't allow it at the moment. They don't have a clear proposal that they are happy with. Then there was another proposal that they are not happy with, and so I said, okay, let's at least push for some solution that we can move forward. Even the feature flag, they are not interested. I think they were burned by this to some extent, which can be. But yeah, I'm pushing on all ends that we get then our own product analytics group, and that's my next discussion point that was brought up by multiple people, especially in product, is on one hand, Optimize is going to start now how to store dashboards then on a group level. So they are adding to groups now this dashboard project pointer, where we are going to save the dashboards at a later point. Ezekiel is basically ready to help me on the dashboard editing and saving. So they will be taking over on the generic component. So we should be getting this back. And nicely, after we have done the editing and saving, we would be doing also deleting, creating new dashboards, all in the generic context. And help them then do their own dashboard component. So they have currently already a component. That's exactly what Ezekiel got merged on Monday, where they can basically have all the statistics on value stream analytics for one project as a component. And we can simply wrap this up and say, okay, you can add this component as many times as you want. And what we need for this is that you can then select in the dashboard editor basically per widget a different project or a different group, and then they do all their funky GraphQL stuff in the background against their current data, which would then allow them to have executive dashboards, one of the most requested features at the moment from paid customers. And what also came up in a lot of those is that the paying customers, and especially executives in that context, were saying that they would love to have dashboards where they can see and have access to all of that stuff. Value stream analytics to see basically how fast their stuff is moving in their own teams, but also, for example, how much a certain product is then used in production by their users. so the idea, or at least the discussion point at the moment is that was brought up is why not have simply dashboards and they can hold product analytics stuff, they can hold value stream analytics stuff, they can hold, I don't know what, so team members and so on, so that you have a vast majority of components. And I wanted to basically bring this up to you and would love to hear what you think about that possible direction. It's nothing set yet, it's just coming up. So, and I have no opinion yet.
Yeah, I don't know that I have a long form source of truth written version of this yet, but this has come up in the UX, this PM product and UX discussion for product analytics for a bit. I'm not a fan of it because I think there's more that we want to build and a lot that belongs together for product analytics, where I feel like going back to the original thought of like not having our own menu item will just compound the UX debt we have currently with how analytics is currently organized. We've outlined and I'll link the epic to the agenda of the different menu items we expect to have, at least within the next year, including experimentation, funnel analysis, and configuration specifically, where I think good experience to say, hey, some of our dashboards are in this dashboards area, but others are in some other place perhaps, and then configuration happens somewhere else, as well as like funnel workflow, like designing or funnel designing. So I'm not sure that I feel like it makes sense for us to be split across multiple areas, especially with having different entry points. Just it's a boring solution, but I feel like it complicates a problem that we're really struggling to deal with as across the organization.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 100% with you. I would not give up all the other menu points. This is really only about the dashboards, about viewing certain stuff, but for funnel design and maybe also for funnel revisiting and transforming them, I would have own menu point. I'm 100% with you. What we also will need at some point with the session replay and session recording is that you can click on any sort of analytics dashboard and say, okay, I want to see everyone who falls under this bar, for example, everyone who is using German as a browser language. What can I figure out about them? What are their sessions? What have they viewed? So that you can basically drill down. This is also something will be most probably custom built and not the dashboard in that sense. So this is really about just having dashboards as a central point of viewing the data, which, it's a very thin line to differentiate and that the users understand where they need to go to figure out who has used which feature, how often. But on the other hand, also how long it took the issues for this product team to get stuff done.
Because I guess for me to really have thoughts on it, I'd be curious to see like an issue really defining what dashboards are going to go in this dashboard section, because as part of the dashboard working group as well, we've identified over 30 different types of dashboards. So the question then would be, are all 30 of those dashboards going to be in this dashboard area? Or are we going to have dashboards in some menu items? And then, no, the new dashboards are now in this dashboard menu item. So that could just, I feel like if we're already going to deal with where all these things are going, then we should go back to like the long-term solution of separating things out by context or topic. Otherwise, we're just moving things around, even though we weren't happy with the original solution, but now we're just going to stuff all the dashboards in one area. I guess I don't have a complete picture to really have. I definitely can't make a decision on that, but I find it concerning.
Here's a Chaim wrote a little bit of a summary that's also what they came up in product in general. I'm also not. I think it would be also weird for users to have this custom constraint of putting stuff together. Because what I definitely could see also along the way is at some point that we as a team have not, if we go into GitLab and not have this completely useless list of subgroups and sub-projects maybe on the groups page of product analytics, but rather have an overview that we have put together so that we see how many MRs have we done in the last couple of days, how many issues do we still have open, how many days are in until that point, how many daily active users has the product analytics feature. So I think this might be also something super interesting along the way. It's a tough thing to solve at some point.
Yeah, I guess and Sam and I were talking about this. We'll have to get in a meeting next year and see what. It seems like we just need to get everyone in the same Zoom room at this point. It's because it seems like separate conversations are happening and things like that. And hopefully we can maybe put together a working session to reach something that we can all be at least somewhat happy with.
Yeah. Good. Anyone else? Any other topics? Because I think that was the last thing. So
then it's just the four of us left, but I think this will be the last sync for the year. So good to see everyone. Well, we reach out if there's any help we need for the remaining few days for the year that we're working. But other than that, have a happy holidays and a happy new year.
Exactly that. Take care, everyone.
See you next
See you
year.
soon. Bye.
Take care.